Hello and thanks for tuning in to this video. If you make it to this video, it might means that you might interested in joining the 3-day silent retreat, or you're about to join this silent journey in togetherness. So I'm gonna spend a few words in regards of the preparation for the retreat. And also some practical guidelines that will serve you more for, I would say, getting in tune to the energy of the retreat, find an understanding also for the mind to grasp the sort of attitude, the attitude in which we're entering in the retreat. And so that it will help you to navigate through the hindrances to the movement of the mind, to the states of mind that you might experience through, and help you to do it in togetherness, because this is also beautiful because it's a group energy. You won't do it by just yourself, although, practically you will, but there's an energy contained, and that's the reason why we're sharing this introduction to the silent retreat. First of all, it's about the attitude. The attitude in which you join this retreat, it might serve you a certain quality of yourself, a certain quality of your inner core. So it's a retreat to dedicate to a part of yourself, that essential part, the aspect of being, the stillness of our own being. And for this reason, to give value, to that, despite our attention and of course efforts, there are a few practical advices which I'm going through during this short video. First of all, as I said, the attitude. This is inspired by the self-inquiry method, and is inspired through the life of Ramana Maharishi. And it meant to reconnect you with a sort of a cave mood. It's going inward. It's like going into a cave. Going into a cave, which is resembled as this isolation. But eventually, when we pay attention to it, is a sort of moving our energy inward. Our attention goes inward, is going through the heart, from the heart. So mainly the attitude is to recreate this cave mood. And there will be, through the guidelines, through the retreat and through the lecture, through the retreat, 3 main point of focus. So the first one is the attention to the heart, is the attention and centering the energy in the heart, centering ourselves in the middle of the chest. So you will receive constantly those reminders: center yourself in the heart, center to the heart, bringing back the energy into the heart. So this is the first attitude, or the first invitation throughout the retreat. The second is the breath and the poses after inhalation and after exhalation. So those poses, they are reminders of that ineffable, or that stillness. So just the reminder and the focus on those poses will bring you more into this reconnection with this mystery, with this longing of the heart, and get familiar and get intimate with it. And the third aspect will be the self-inquiry. So this was so-called question, because when we come in with this who am I, this is not a question that is there for you to question your persona or your presence here. That presence is already here. The question is a question of openness. It's a question of reminding that wherever you are identifying with, either your thought, either your emotion, either your physical body, either your memories, or whatever it's aware in their present, is very relative, to the beingness, the states of beingness that question implies, so that question call upon. Because when we opening ourselves to this remembrance through that question, it is not about answering the question, but it is about wondering, merging in that space of wonderment that question implies. That question implies. So those will be the main focal points, or call it reminders, reminders of the main meditation practice. So here you won't receive any initiations. You initiating to yourself, to the essence of who you are. So there's no, I would call techniques, but more deepening, and meditation as a tool for that deepening, the tool for that contemplative aspect of your own being, that longing of the soul. So in order to create this sort of a cave mood, the first attitude, the first guidelines is Mauna. Mauna is noble silence, so respecting silence. So we're asking to all the participants for those 3 days to make a commitment, to dedicate yourself to that stillness, or to that aspect of your being, by paying attention to your wording. So keeping silence, complete silence. You'll notice it how much efforts we put into verbalizing ourselves and asserting our nature and deflecting, from that presence by talking. And the attitude is not just avoiding to speak, but also to refrain of any non-verbal attitude. For example, looking in someone's eyes, asserting things by nodding, or by using other form of non-verbal activity to communicate things, but simply refrain to communicate. So in this way, is very welcome to, for example, to place a sign on you, for example, a little note on your chest, which shows that you're in silence, so that also people around you, if you will be somehow moved to go, for example, to do something, do some groceries or something, you might create yourself that space where you are committed to that silence, and so you respect that, and others also are aware of it. I know this is a bit of a tricky thing to do in the Western world, but that's for this reason that you try to recreate um, within your house, within your place, a space where you give value to that silence by allowing to create that silence for yourself, communicate it to your partner or to your family members, or to make a space in your house where you can stay by yourself. Um, Also, to make some shopping, for example, for groceries or for food, before even starting the retreat. So this is a very important aspect that you might want to check. And I know that this is a time of constraints also for specific situation that might touch you on a personal level, and staying already very confined home for any reasons. So if this is the case, well, you have a chance to actually use this already um, forced confinement into a more um, equanimous and useful direction. Yeah, is direction to being. Yeah, is direction to being. So refrain to speak. Yeah, refrain to speak. Refrain to avoid any sort of verbal or non-verbal contact. And this is a way in which already one of our um, attitude started to move inwardly rather than outwardly. Yeah, so the expression of our words starts to have a bit more meaning where we keep it for ourselves. Yeah, we keep it for ourselves, and we contemplate on our urge to speak. So this is one fundamental aspect. Normally, you will feel this sense of slowing down, yeah, because you're forced to be by yourself, listening to the pace of the lecture and the meditation. You will force to slow down. So your nervous system started to slow down, and you might start to go into some tendencies of your body to eventually fall asleep. Yeah, to fall asleep, to move into a sort of a more kind of relaxed aspect of yourself. And we're gonna talk about this. But eventually, is the attitude is the one to stop paying attention to the external and moving into the internal. So moving more into that um, I would say more inward, yeah, journey. Yeah, so we're moving more into our inner self. Yeah, the inner self. We call it in this way. And the hindrances that might happen during this time, especially because you will be um, mainly spend time within yourself, within this 3 days of silence, there will be some normal hindrances that will happen. One, as I said before, is the sense of laxity. So the feeling of wanting to sleep more, to fall asleep, to nod during the meditation practices. And another one will be the opposite attitude, the attitude of being very judgmental, very reactive to everything that is happening. You might start to feel unwell with the teacher that is there and facilitating. I'm not really feeling to offer any teachings here, but mostly facilitating this space. But if you might feel that way, it's because there's also tendencies of externalizing and reactivity. Yeah, there's lots of reactivity that happen. So normally notice that this kind of slowing down will bring you to these two sort of hindrances. And we can avoid those hindrances, or we can make sure that we take care of those aspects knowingly that we might touch those by offering a certain attitudes. For example, if you're feeling going into this space of laxity, falling asleep during the meditation, try to sleep more at night, first of all, so that you try to really set yourself ready for sleep. Yeah, because you won't be able to. You will have lots of time to sleep during the evening, so set yourself ready for that. Use a bit more light, for example, in the room if you feel like that your tendency is the one of nodding off. But also, you might experience that feeling of torpor and laxity. You might want to also readjust your body in a more straight position. Yeah. You might want to use some mint oil or frankincense on top of the forehead, or sometimes even directly smell it on close to your nose, but here on top of the forehead. And practice also a small contraction of the muscles of the perineum can help, especially during the meditation, to lift your energy. Yeah, to lift your energy. In case you experience the opposite aspect, which means a sense of reactivity, a sense of judgment, reactivity, overthinking, then allow yourself to slow down more, focusing on the breath, placing some blindfolds on top of your eyes even during meditation, so you create a more dark environment. Relax more your shoulders. Those are just few tips in order to kind of come more into a space of relaxation, so that even your mind don't get too agitated in the process. But those things, they might create some sort of tendency during your sleeping pattern. So nights, especially in the first and second night, can be different in your sleeping pattern. Don't be bothered about this, because that will readjust pretty soon, especially if you then intend to extend your days of practice. It's a very good place to set your intention before to start, to see what inspires you to do this retreat for, and what's the longing really, what's this inner longing. And create also the space which is usable for you, knowing that if someone's birthday is happening in your house during those days, for example, and you won't be able to be quiet for that time, so try to make sure that you're setting your space nicely, you communicate to others, and you make grocery shopping and all that. So you create your space where you cultivate your intimacy, because in the end it's all about that. It's all about enjoy reconnecting with the intimacy of who you are, and so that's your responsibility to create a space for that. So here, just guidelines, don't take it as serious guidelines. I'm not saying do not do it, but not with intent, oh, if I don't do this, Andrea is gonna. No, it's not. Of course, my intention is simply to recreate all those experiences so that you can replicate the experience of reconnection and intimacy with yourself, just without using any external tool, but having your own self. And that's the intention. So as I said, also try to refrain as much as possible physical contact. So in this sense, I would say also sexual contacts. This will kind of really put you off from that inner domain. I'm not saying that sexuality is something to avoid. Actually, something very beautiful, but it depends the context. It depends on the context. So try to maintain this inner space as pure as possible. Once again, not because sexuality is impure, but to do not to refrain external energy movement to disconnect you from that kind of inner contemplation. Yeah, I would say. And then you can eventually rejoin the sexuality from that place of intimacy. So that's an even more useful perspective. So mainly the attitude is not to cling to things. For example, avoid using your phones, avoid to use any electronics, avoid to use any devices, books, music, all that. And instead, one thing that you could do it is journaling, for example. Writing and journaling, it's a great opportunity to reflect upon your own self, your emotional parts, the parts that been keep it on the side and not cultivated enough, and let them express through your words. This is a way of like bringing things out from in and not from in out and not from out in. So refrain any clinging experience and try to actually bring things out. So journaling is one of the suggested thing, and on top of that there will be some lectures and some inspirational quotes. These inspirational quotes, try not to see them as the reality. The inspirational quotes are touching an aspect of our mind and state which is related to this mythopoetic thinking. Yeah, so recalling myth, legends, and poetry. Yeah, it's a way of reframing and reconnecting through the right brain hemisphere, and so coming more into that soft, nourishing aspect of ourself, receptive aspect of ourself. So try not to judge those aspects with a logical mind, because the logical mind within this retreat wouldn't help much, apart, make your own food and all that. Yeah. So try to reconnect from that place of receptivity and openness, yeah, through those lectures and through those quotes that we're gonna use. Another very suggested things to do during this time is stretching and doing some yoga. There will be some beautiful yoga classes which are connected to this sort of practice and which are very, very slow. I know for some of you who might want to feel the body movement, they will have some challenges within that. So for those people and for those who really enjoys it, but I would say for everybody that can walk in nature, it would be also a very beautiful practice to do in a contemplative way. So try not to run during this time. It's good to do some aerobic practice, but try not to run, to keep energy and cultivate it inward. Also, going into nature will help you to sustain this nourishing and intimate sacred energy within yourself. So walking in nature. Look at your judgments. During this time, you will be confronted, you might be cornered by your own thoughts. Um, don't be hard on yourself. Try to look at those, address those states of mind. You might go through maybe anger, you might go through guilt, shame, fears, but you might go also through beautiful experiences, some ecstasy, some peace and beauty. um, Try to discriminate that there's no good or bad meditation, but this experience, it might highlight some of your actual inner space. So um, don't try to identify with those things and, oh man, now my meditation was very bad, so this silent retreat don't work for me. Or on the other side, this meditation was the best things I ever experienced, so now I have to become a monk. Try to come to a place of equanimous understanding that there are no good or bad meditation, but simply the enjoyment of that silence, the enjoyment of that mystery, and the equanimous flow of life that meditation um, kind of bring into your life. So try to see from that discriminative place. Mostly try to look at the energy of the heart from a place of humor as well, not from a place of making fun of everything, but also laughing a bit about the story of yourself with a certain sweetness. Yeah. So without that judgment, oh, I've been like this and I've been like that. You might have some memories and now you have to cry them all out. It might happen. It might happen, but try to bring that humor to the self, to this paradox of life, and try to discriminate and look through it from a space of clarity. So use all the guidelines that I shared to actually come into a discriminative place and finding eventually a nice space of beautiful reconnection with yourself. Other few things that might be good for you to know is the quality of your food, because you're going through these 3 days. Food will definitely impact your daily time, because these the only things that you really take in. Of course, the air you breathe, yeah, but food will be very important. So if you can during these days, avoid any spice, avoid coffee, avoid some stimulants, or avoid some very lowering energy food. I'll make you an example. Some some coffee, some stimulants, taurine, or this sort of things, it will lift and excite yourself. So you might move more into like chili, like pepper, chili. It might bring you in a space of reactivity and judgment. So because the energy is it's a movement, or we call it rajasic. Yeah, it's more from Ayurvedic perspective, is the fire energy. While if you take food which is a bit more heavy, like for example lots of carbs, blue cheese, like it's a heavy food, so you might have the tendency with that to might fall asleep or to feeling very tired. Yeah, so be mindful about the quality of the food you eat. Prepare it nicely. Try to avoid too much spices, and make it simple for these 3 days. Make it simple. Avoid the coffee that if you into it. If you refrain to smoke, that will be also a valuable add-on if you have this habit. So it would be maybe an opportunity also to check on yourself. So the full advice is the one to refrain or avoid any excess, either from one side to another, to come back more to an equanimous place. Avoid any readings, even if you're doing a yoga practice and now you wanted to know everything about yoga and all about metaphysics. This is not the place for it. Actually, it is very good that you let your mind move out of also those I wanted to know more zone, and actually coming back more into that presence of the heart. So avoid the reading, but for example, some quotes from Hafiz, from Rumi, those are very beautiful because it recalls this, creative and right brain connection, and with this, more non-dual perspective, to the energy of the heart. So, more or less, those are the general guidelines to practice. I would say if you sleep with someone, try to sleep by yourself during those days. If you really wanted to keep some details on the strong guidelines, you might want to refrain also to use a mirror, because it's a mirror. It's a way of looking at yourself as that persona, as this character that we're facing, while we are, submerged into our daily connection with others and the external world. And so it's a way of also reconnecting to ourselves. So those are the general guidelines. I would say try to make use of them, especially with the phone, WhatsApp, and all the electronic devices. Take it on one side, don't use it. Communicate to your friends that you're not going to use the phone for 3 days and so on. And that will be also okay. You will be impressed about how you can actually be okay without it. And the only way that I suggest you to use is our platform. For those who are doing the teacher training, you can use the platform to have access to Teachable, and then from there you can make questions, or you can write a question directly. So you will address the question, and then during the join meditation, I will answer that. So I will try to answer it, especially if it's a practical one. I might try to answer it so that you better understand eventually the techniques that we're practicing. If there is a certain hindrances that is a bit more kind of difficult for you, I might help you to move through it. I've been experiencing those retreats for quite a while, and I get familiar with those things. So normally they repeat themselves through people, and so I might offer my specific advice if I can, and if not, I will simply say I don't know. But if I can answer some of your question, I will answer it through the Teachable platform, that you can use it to connect directly with me. And so we will answer those questions before the practice. So this has been said. We'll start the first day with an attitude of gratitude and the intention to reconnect with the essence of our being, to the spiritual heart, as so called. I'm going to use so many words as consciousness, God, spiritual heart, Atman, but they all refer to this ineffable part, all this silence awareness. So don't be bothered about those names. or if you feel disconnected by one, don't judge to it. It's just a way to express and point, yeah, and point at the same thing. So don't look at the pointers, look at what they point, all those words pointing at, yeah. So that's going to be the main focus. And enjoy yourself, enjoy this reconnection with your own being. So I wish you all the best for this 3-day silent retreat, beautiful journey through the heart. Namaste.